Hi guys, so today I'm going to be walking you through some of the features on studentaid.gov. This is probably not a site that's new to most of you. You guys have probably been to it a handful of times, as this is a site you would have come to fill out your exit or entrance counseling, your master promissory note when you first start taking out loans. It's a site you can come to fill out your FAFSA, different things like that, and it's kind of your one-stop shop to look up a lot of your loan information and get a lot of your loan questions answered. So today I'm going to be walking you through some of the features that are going to be very important for graduating seniors. Which congratulations, by the way, that's super exciting. So I'm going to walk you guys through exit counseling. Know that it's not going to be super in-depth, as it'll really depend on what questions each of you have separately. But I definitely want to walk you through the process to show you what that's going to look like and to explain some of the different parts in it that might not be something that you guys are super aware of. Um, and I'm going to show you guys, if any of you have heard of NSLDS, that's not really what site we're directing you towards anymore. If you type that in, it will actually bring you to studentaid.gov, the site we're currently on. So just come here. You only have to remember one web address at that rate, and you can find all of that information on here, which is also another super important page to know about because that's where you can see all of your loan information in one place. So I'm going to kind of show you guys that as well. So a few things to know before we get started. I recommend you having two tabs open when you do complete your exit counseling because you're going to want to have exit counseling open on one and your loans open on the other. All your loan information open on the other. Those will be super convenient to have right next to each other and open at the same time. 2, to fill all this out and to log into anything on this website, you need your FSA ID and password. So that is the information that you use when you first started filing your FAFSA, or every year when you file your FAFSA. You may have only had to create one, you may have had to recreate a few passwords and things like that, but you will need that information. Um, and if you don't remember it, that's okay. You can recreate a username or password, or both if you need to. But do know, as I learned the hard way, that it does take 30 minutes to let you log in using that new information once you create new information. So you cannot just log in right away. So do be aware of that. And 3, as we go through this video, feel free to leave questions in the comments. Shoot us an Instagram or Facebook message, email our office, or call our office with any extra help you guys may need. We want you guys to know that we're here to support you. We're here to answer any questions you've got, and especially walk you through this whole process as most of you are probably getting ready to graduate and may need some extra help with finishing all of this information. So first off, you guys are going to go to log in. Like I said, you can create a new password and things. It'll take 30 minutes though. Once you guys get logged in, this should take you straight to your student loan portal. So this will have all of your loan information that you've taken out during your undergraduate career. So that first chart that you see, or that first little circle diagram that you see, should show all of your total loan amount and the interest that has accrued on your loans. So that's kind of just overview, right? If you scroll down, there should be a more in-depth circle diagram. Looks very similar, but should be a little bit more in-depth. To the left, there should be something that shows all of the different types of loans. And if you click those down arrows to expand each section, you can see what all the different loans you've taken out are specifically. So there should be sections for like unsubsidized loans, subsidized loans, things like that. If you click that expansion arrow, it should show you the exact loans you've taken out of the unsubsidized loans and show you the exact amount for each separate loan. Things like that to just kind of help you see what you did borrow. And it's super convenient to see all of that. So once you get done looking at that, I'm going to have you guys go to this other tab that we have open for studentaid.gov. And we're going to go to manage loans and complete exit counseling, okay? Again, you guys may already be logged in since you're logged in on the other page. If not, you're going to need to log in. I'm going to do a demo version. because all of this shows all of your student information, which is why I'm not logging into most of it. But it's going to look the same for you guys on all of this. You guys will have a section before I do that will have all of the that will have something that says send this information to my school or something like that. So you have to input all the school information. That way we can see that you've completed exit counseling, because it is a requirement to complete it when you're graduating. And so we need note of that and to see that you have all of that completed. So be sure to put our school information in there. Once you complete that, you're going to come to this page. Or you should come to this page. And we're going to walk through understanding your loans, plan to repay, avoid default, finances, and repayment information. So this first section is very similar to things you would have gone through in entrance counseling. So think the different types of loans, think what do these terms mean, think that kind of basic information, but it's really important for you guys to know, especially as you're getting ready to graduate and repay back your loans. So definitely take the time to read through this information when you do end up going through it. We're going to start off and look at this top section. So right here should say current student loan balance, but that may not include private loans, will not include private loans, and may not reflect all of your federal student loans. So if you notice that that amount doesn't reflect your loans, you can go right down here and add a loan, and you can click here and add any types of loans that aren't up there. Add your projected interest rate and total. So we'll add up your estimated loan balance, right? So that you can kind of see all of it. That's why we have this page open, your total student loan page open. So you can input that information pretty quickly and easily. Like I said, the rest of this is going to be a lot of basic information that you guys probably were told about before you first start taking out loans, and you may have been reminded of every time you take out loans. So it's the borrow only what you need, because you still have to repay back your loans, even if you don't complete your study, can't find employment, and aren't satisfied with the education you received, and that you were able to control how much you borrowed. So just a reminder that hopefully you did only borrow what you needed, and you didn't just take out the whole amount that was available for you if you didn't need the amount, just to make sure, because you still have to pay that amount back. So just being aware of all of that information. Down here talks about loan basics. So I really like this because it breaks down what each of the terms mean, essentially. You can click these arrows and it'll just kind of tell you what those terms are. And that's kind of really nice feature to have on here, because it's just a reminder of what everything is. So you can see what the loan fee means, what the difference in fall disbursement and spring disbursement are, what principal means, capitalized interest, all of this kind of information. So I definitely recommend going through, because especially as you're beginning to get ready to pay back your loans, those terms are good to be aware of. So more terms, interest accrual and capitalized interest. So this kind of just talks about the differences between those two types of interest and how they're calculated, and how you build up that type of interest, right? So a lot of you will see interest on your student loans, and it's important to know what that means. Match promissory note is what you filled out before you started taking out loans. And acceleration. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but it's a demand for immediate repayment of your entire federal student loan. If you want more information, you can click right here, but we will go through that a little bit later as well. So, and then basically the types of federal student loans. So you guys are probably aware of subsidized, unsubsidized, and plus loans. But they're just reminders for what the different interest rates are and what that looks like for different class levels and things like that. So definitely read through some of that information. It's great reminders. Okay, so this section, we're going to have you guys estimate what your budget's going to be with your career, with your job. So right here, if you're not sure what your estimated salary will be, you can click here and it'll kind of give examples of different jobs and what those salaries are. This is not going to be exact, so do not stress out about trying to make it exact, but just do a pretty good estimate of what you feel is going to be around the right amounts, right? So if you think, if you think you'll make $40,000, put $40,000 in there. If you think you'll make 60,000, 30,000, put whatever your estimate is for your next career choice, for what your job choice is. And if you need extra help, you can click that link to get some estimates. Here you're going to put your federal withholdings. It kind of gives you some examples based off of what your projected income is going to be. Some of these might change for the examples, but just to be aware that you will have those. So you're going to put in how much you think is going to be taken out. And then you're going to see your monthly income. Okay, so based off of the income you put and your federal withholding and other withholdings, you're going to see the amount that you'll take home monthly, your monthly income. So from there, excuse me, from there, you're going to look at your other monthly expenses. So think about rent or housing. Are you going to be moving to a city? Think about what the cost of living is in that city, whether you're buying a house or renting. Are you moving back to your hometown? What's the cost of living there? Are you staying right where you're at? Okay, what do you pay right now? Are you moving back with your parents or living with family? Are they having you pay rent? Are they not? Just different information like that to think about, and then be able to estimate what that's going to look like for you. Utilities, what does that look like? If you pay utilities right now, what do you pay? What's your estimate? Put that in there. That could be pretty similar. It may not be the same, but it could be similar. Groceries, what do you think your grocery cost is going to be each month? Insurance, what do you think insurance is going to look like for you? Medical insurance, credit card debt, entertainment, transportation. Do you have a car? Or are you going to have to do public transportation? Will you be riding your bike? Are you going to be walking? All of that depends on where you're planning on living, right? And where you're planning on working. Emergency funds and other that may not be on here that you always budget for. Be sure to put all of that information in there, and then that's going to show you what all of that totals up to down here, okay? So right here you're going to put it'll show your loan balance, projected interest rate, family size, it's just you, just one. Put whatever state you're going to be in. You can view or add your loans, and then it'll kind of come up with it should come up with an estimated payment chart for you. So you can kind of see, based off of what you put in, this is what repaying your loans could look like. Like I said before, this is all an estimate because I don't know that you all will know exactly how much you'll make, exactly how much the cost of living is going to be for you guys. So this is really an estimate, but it's really good information to get an idea of what that may look like for you and to budget for that, to know that to really make note and visualize that that's something you have to start thinking about. So this will be income, expenses, loan payment, and then remaining balance. If that remaining balance is negative, that's not what we want. We do not want that to be negative. So that means we need to go back up here and kind of look at where we can adjust. Well, we can adjust probably in here. Your income may be lower than what you'll make. You may have projected lower, you may have projected higher, you may have projected right on. Like I said, all of that will depend. But you just want to make sure this is not negative. And from there, it will just kind of show you what your loan debt burden looks like according to all of that information. So, entering repayment, these are all really good questions based on repayment, really prominent questions. So when do I need to start making loan payments? You guys actually get a 6-month grace period before you have to start paying your loans back. So they give you that time period to make sure you guys have a chance to get a job, to save up some money, to get settled somewhere. So you guys don't have to worry about it directly after you get done with school. But you can make payments even when you're not required to make them. So if you guys have started making payments in school, maybe you've decided to pay off your interest while you're going through school. Cool, no penalty for that. If you guys want to start making payments right after graduation, you don't want to take that 6-month grace period, no penalty for that. You guys can pay them off whenever you guys can start paying them off whenever you would like to. But there's no requirement to yet. And then what if you want to pay off your loan early? You can repay them at any time without a penalty. So you guys can kind of figure out what your budget will look like if you guys have a certain goal of I want to get my loans paid off in this amount of time. And you want to budget for that, go right ahead. However you would like to repay your loans off. But there are certain stipulations where you do have to work with your loan supervisor or loan servicer for some of that. So interest savings calculator, this will kind of look like what it would look like if you put your loans on deferment or forbearance. So that's kind of just an estimate of what that'll be. And we'll talk about what deferment and loan forbearance are. Those are just periods of time you don't pay your loans beyond the grace period. And we'll talk about those in a little while. So repayment incentives. So take advantage of paying them back right away, or like right away on time, take them back, or take advantage of being sure to repay your loans because there are incentives for that. Again, more repayment tips. You can fill these out on what you think that would look like for you, and it'll kind of give you more repayment tips. Navigating repayment, again, really good questions. Who do I make my payments to? It'll depend on your federal loan servicer. So contact your federal loan servicer. When do I contact them? For most of you, it will probably be for graduation time. If you're watching this, it'll probably be because you're graduating. But there are lots of other reasons you may have to start contacting them to get ready to pay back your loans. How do I change my repayment plan? Again, contact your loan servicer and work with them. How do I avoid student loan scams? So one thing I recommend doing as well is noting how your loan servicer will contact you. So if they say they will only email you to get information from you and they call you, don't give any information for the call, and call your loan servicer back and ask if they just called you, right? If they said they'll only call you and you get an email from a loan servicer, call your loan servicer and say, hey, did you just send me an email? Don't respond to anything if they didn't say that's how they won't, if they didn't say that's how they'll contact you. If they say both, then obviously you can do both. But definitely ask them how they'll get a hold of you and what the best way for you to get a hold of them is. That way you can know if they're actually trying to contact you or not, to be careful and be aware of who you're giving your information to. So to avoid default, finish your program and graduate. So like I said, most of you guys are probably graduating if you're watching this. Paying on time. So definitely make your loan payments on time. And if you cannot make your monthly payment, immediately contact your federal loan servicer before you miss the payment. And as long as you're working with you, or you're working with them, and they can see that you're putting in the effort to pay those loans, and contacting them and really talking to them about it, and you've been doing well, you've been keeping up with things, and you just can't do it this month, they'll help you and work with you as well. So definitely keep in contact with them and let them know what's going on. Like I said, stay in touch with them, right? And definitely contact them before you miss a payment if you do need to miss a payment, or if you can't pay the minimum or something like that. Again, trouble making payments. You can you can really talk to them and look at plans to repay if you'd like to change your plan, and just definitely keep in contact with them. So here's deferment and forbearance. So just know that not everybody is going to be eligible for these. It'll really depend. Deferment is something that more people are eligible for than forbearance, from what I've known. So deferment allows you to temporarily stop making payments on your federal loans. So this is really mainly for if you go back to school, get a second degree, go to grad school, PhD, something like that. Unemployed are able to find full-time employment for a certain period of time, serving on active duty, things like that. Like I said, as much as I've seen it and heard about it, it's for people going back to school. So you do have the option to put your loans on deferment, which means you do not have to pay them during that period. You do have to go through that process, like apply for it, get that process, talk to your loan servicer, things like that about it. But that is something that quite a few students decide to do if they go back to school. And then forbearance allows you to temporarily stop making your payments or reduce your monthly payment. Sorry about that. So if you're unable to make your scheduled loan payments for reasons including financial hardship and illness, things like that, serving medical, dental, internship, residency program, things like that. So this is definitely like a more limited population of people who are normally eligible for this, but definitely do know that that is an option if you do fall into any of those categories. So you can, if you're planning on, let's just say you're planning on going to graduate school. So you can postpone your payments for, let's say you can type in, I don't know, 24 months. Okay, let's say your program's 2 years, so 24-ish months. Probably about 20. And it'll show you what that'll look like for you to postpone your payments for grad school. So forgive, cancel, discharge your debts. These are also options as well. But again, like I said, not everybody's eligible for them. So this is teacher loan forgiveness. If you teach full-time at a certain elementary school, it can forgive up to a certain amount. Public service forgiveness. School-related discharge, closed before you completed, falsely certified your loan eligibility, total and permanent disability, or death. Those are how you're eligible for loan forgiveness and cancellation or discharge. And then delinquency and default. So your federal student loans become delinquent the first day after you miss a payment. So you don't want to miss any payments, okay? This is why you want to keep in contact with your federal loan servicer as soon as you know if you're going to miss a payment, especially. So it may affect different areas of your life as in student loans. This is where by being delinquent or defaulting in a loan may require acceleration, which is when you have to pay your loan payment back right away. Right, the whole payment, entire unpaid amount. You won't be eligible for federal student aid if you decide to go back to school. You lose eligibility for any deferment, forbearance, and choice of repayment plans. It could affect your future income, and it could affect your credit score. So definitely, I cannot say it enough, keep in contact with your loan servicer if anything's going on. Records and disputes. So make sure you keep all your papers so you have the proof of that information if it's needed again. And that way you know what you've completed and you have copies of all of your information. Resolving student loan disputes. Those are good reasons to keep a lot of your information in case anything comes up. And then, so loan consolidation. So if you have multiple student loans, you can consolidate them into a single direct consolidation loan. So it'll simplify repayment if you're making separate payments to separate servicers, but there might also be trade-offs like it says. So you'll definitely want to read up on some of those advantages and disadvantages and see how that's an option, if it's worth it for you, things like that. Okay, so finances a priority. So plans for the future. So definitely look at the plan to repay section to set goals. So that'll take us all the way back here and it's going to show us what your information look like on there again, and you can edit any of that if you need to. You can go through any of that if you need to and make some changes if you've rethought some things through. And definitely just keep that up. Keep that, you guys can come back on that and utilize that. So set some short-term goals, long-term goals, look into insurance policies such as health and life insurance, and just plan for those different payments and things that you guys will have. So save. If you guys don't have a savings account, open a savings account and keep an emergency fund. It's good to have an emergency fund for 3 to 6 months of your normal expenses. So that way you can just make sure to have that if something were to happen. Spend wisely. So track everything you spend, right? Whether that's an Excel spreadsheet. There are lots of great apps to help track your spending, great websites you can use to help track. I know that our Facebook page has different examples of websites you can use to budget. So definitely look into some of those to help you out with how you can keep track of your finances, because those are definitely super important to keep track of. Pay your credit card balance in full each month, pay your bills on time, and pay with the money you have. And then it kind of just talks about your income taxes and what the differences are, what that means. This should go off of the information that you've put in, what that could look like for you. This will just kind of talk about different types of taxes. So educational tax incentives, your credit and identity, again, maintaining good credit, paying your loans to help you maintain good credit. There's ways to help you know how to promptly pay your bills, see the total amount of debt you owe, keep track of how many credit cards you have, be aware of those kinds of things. All of this different information is just reminders of how to stay safe with all of this and how to keep track of it all. So like I said, be aware of how your student loan servicer is going to contact you, because you'd never want to share your personal information with anyone. So if they say they're not going to call you and they call you, call them back and make sure that they called you before you give them any information, right? Definitely protect your passwords, especially for websites like this and for information about finances. And then definitely keep track, monitor your bank accounts. If you have a mobile app for your bank account, keep track of that every day or two. Every couple days, look onto that. Make sure that the amounts are correct. Make sure it's all things that you did. All the transactions are accurate for you. For credit cards, spend only what you can pay back immediately. Kind of like a loan. Don't spend more, don't pay more, don't take out more than you need to. Don't spend more on your credit card than you need to. Only spend what you can pay back. Pay your balance in full each month to avoid interest and fees. Different things like that. And then plan ahead, borrow only what you can afford to repay, and look for low interest rate and fees, right? Okay, so for this last section, you guys are going to need to put in some information. And they're asking about this kind of like for your master promissory note, I believe it was. They had you put in some references and different information like that. A lot of that information was just in case they were not able to get a hold of you. For that, you couldn't put people in the same household in, for references, anything like that. Just because then they would be able to contact different households if they couldn't get a hold of you to see what was going on. Again, try to do that for this as well, I would recommend, just so then they have ways to contact you. If you end up moving, if you end up changing your information and forget to let them know right away, something like that. But definitely try to keep them in the loop. Again, this is another way for a repayment plan, requesting repayment plans, repayment estimator, and this will kind of show you what your different repayment plans are before you get off of this. So I definitely recommend keeping this information. You can print it, you can log back into these things, just so you can see what all of that you can keep a note of what all that will look like when it's time for you to start repaying back your loans. Right? So this is just your overall information from what we have selected, what you've done through this exit counseling, and what you chose. Right? And from there, you've completed exit counseling. So congratulations, once you've completed that. I know people love going through this, but this is actually really cool and has really cool tools for you guys to use. So definitely take advantage of these because it's all really, really good information. You guys can print this page out even so you can see what you've chosen. You can email it to yourself. That way you can see everything that you've done, all of that information that they're giving you right here, which is awesome. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. I'm sorry it wasn't super in-depth, but I know every question is going to be different based on the student. So definitely feel free to put questions in the comments. Send us a Facebook, Instagram message, email us, call us, anything that you guys need. We want to be able to be here for you and support you during this process. And we want to help this, and we want to help this graduation process be as smooth as possible and help you guys enjoy it too, and try not to stress out too much about all of this. So feel free to contact us. Hopefully this was helpful, and congratulations to you all.